relaxing bedtime story for sleep and reflection. Close your eyes tonight and travel backward, far beyond the noise of the modern world, beyond cities of glass and electric light, to an age of caravans, deserts, and kings who ruled beneath endless constellations. The night air is warm. Above you, the stars stretch endlessly across the heavens like silver lanterns suspended over the ancient earth. Somewhere in the distance, camels move slowly across the desert sands, their bells echoing softly through the darkness. And beneath those same stars, in the land of Canaan, a young boy wakes from a dream that will alter history forever. Not an ordinary dream, not the kind that fades with the morning light. This dream will follow him through betrayal, through slavery, through prison walls, through loneliness, through power, through destiny itself. And tonight, we begin his story, the story of Prophet Yusuf. The world into which Yusuf was born was ancient even then. Stone cities stood beneath blazing suns. Trade caravans crossed dangerous deserts carrying silk, incense, gold, and stories from distant lands. Kings ruled from palaces carved with towering pillars. And everywhere, people searched for meaning in dreams. Dreams were feared in those days, because dreams sometimes carried truth. Yusuf lived among a large family. He was the beloved son of Prophet Yaqub, a wise and aging prophet whose eyes had already seen great sorrow in his lifetime. Yaqub loved all his children, but Yusuf, there was something different about him. A quiet gentleness, a calmness, a light in his face that made people pause when he entered a room. Even as a child, there was a stillness in him, and his father saw it immediately. The brothers saw it too, and slowly, silently, their jealousy began to grow, but none of them yet understood what had already begun, because one night, Yusuf dreamed, imagined the silence of the desert before dawn, the cold air, the sleeping tents, the fading embers of small fires glowing softly in darkness. Young Yusuf lies asleep beneath a blanket of woven wool, and then the dream begins. 11 stars appear above him, bright, living, moving across the heavens with impossible beauty. Then the sun, then the moon, and slowly they all bow before him, not in fear, not in worship, but in recognition. The dream feels more real than waking life itself. And when Yusuf awakens, his heart is pounding. Outside the tent, the first light of dawn touches the horizon. The world is silent. He rises quickly, searching for his father. Yaqub listens carefully as the boy speaks. The old prophet says nothing at first, because he understands immediately. Some dreams are ordinary. This is not one of them. The morning wind moves softly through the trees as Yaqub looks into his son's eyes, and quietly, with both love and concern, he warns him, "Do not tell your brothers what you have seen," because Yaqub already senses what jealousy can become, and jealousy, left untouched, can become something dangerous, something irreversible. The days pass, but Yusuf cannot forget the dream, and neither can his father. Meanwhile, the brothers watch. They notice the affection Yaqub shows the boy, the softness in his voice when speaking to him, the way Yusuf seems protected somehow, and resentment grows like heat beneath stone. At first, only whispers, then glances, then bitterness. The older brothers begin speaking quietly among themselves beneath the darkness of night. Why does our father love him more? Are we not stronger? Are we not more useful? Jealousy has a way of rewriting reality. It convinces people that love is stolen from them rather than shared. And slowly, unchanging. Oh, far away, beyond the hills of Canaan, the great kingdom of Egypt rises beside the Nile River. Its temples tower into the sky. Its priests study stars and omens. Its rulers command armies and wealth beyond imagination. But tonight, none of that matters yet, because destiny is still beginning quietly, inside one family, inside one heart, inside one dream. And Yusuf, still only a boy, does not yet know the road waiting ahead. He does not know about the well, the caravan, the prison, the throne, or the tears his father will shed for years beneath the night sky. For now, he is only a child walking beneath the stars, while history slowly moves toward him. The desert wind grows colder now. Imagine the brothers gathered together outside their tents late at night. Torchlight flickers across their faces. Their voices remain low, but anger sharpens every word. One of them finally says what the others have already begun thinking: kill Yusuf. The sentence hangs heavily in the darkness. Another hesitates, not from innocence, but fear. And so another plan emerges. A quieter cruelty, one that feels easier to justify. Throw him somewhere far away. Leave him where caravans may find him. Then our Father will finally look at us again. And somewhere nearby, Yusuf sleeps peacefully beneath the stars. Unaware, there is something deeply human about this story, because it is not merely about profits. It is about envy, family, loneliness, hope. In the strange way destiny often begins with suffering we do not understand. Sometimes, the road toward purpose first passes through betrayal. Sometimes, the dream comes long before the meaning. And sometimes, the people closest to us become part of the trial itself. But even now, something greater is unfolding quietly beneath the surface of events. A plan larger than fear, larger than betrayal, larger than human intention itself. The night deepens, the caravan bells fade into distant darkness, and above ancient Canaan, the stars continue shining silently, just as they did the night Yusuf saw them bow. Tonight, we leave him here for now, still young, still innocent, standing unknowingly at the edge of destiny. And somewhere in the silence, the dream waits patiently for its hour to return. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, and listen to the desert wind moving across the ancient earth, because the story has only just begun. Morning arrives slowly over Canaan. The desert sky turns from deep blue to silver to gold. Birds begin calling from distant trees. Camels stir awake beside the tents, and Yusuf rises believing this day will be like any other. But some days, quietly, change everything. The brothers approach their father together. Their voices are calm, carefully calm, too calm. They ask permission to take Yusuf with them beyond the grazing fields. Let him come with us. He should play. We will protect him. Yaqub hesitates immediately, because a father sometimes senses danger before seeing it. The old prophet studies their faces carefully, and somewhere deep within his heart, unease begins to grow, but eventually, with reluctance, he agrees. Yusuf prepares happily, still innocent, still trusting. He has no idea that envy has already made its decision. Imagine the journey now, the brothers walking together beneath the widening morning sky, sand crunching beneath their feet, dry wind moving softly across the hills. Yusuf walks among them smiling, trying to belong, trying to feel included. At first, the brothers speak little, then less, until silence itself becomes frightening. Yusuf notices the change. Children do not easily imagine betrayal from those they love. And so he keeps walking, further from home, further from safety, further into destiny. By midday, they reach an isolated place. A deep, abandoned well stands alone beneath the blazing sun. Ancient, dark, silent. Its stone walls are cracked by centuries. When Yusuf first sees the well, perhaps something inside him already understands, because sometimes the soul recognizes danger before the mind does. The brothers surround him slowly, and the air changes. No more pretending, no more warmth, only cold intention. Imagine Yusuf's confusion, the sudden rough hands, the anger in familiar voices, the realization arriving too quickly to fully understand. He looks from face to face, searching for mercy, for hesitation, for someone to stop this. But jealousy, once fully awakened, can make people unrecognizable. One brother tears away Yusuf's outer garment, another grips his arm harder, and then they lower him into darkness. The well is cold, far colder than the desert above. The stone scrapes against his hands as he descends. Above him, the circle of sunlight grows smaller, smaller, smaller still, until finally, he is alone. Pause for a moment here. Imagine the silence inside that ancient well, the damp air, the faint echo of dripping water, the distant sound of brothers walking away above. Yusuf is still only a boy, and yet in this moment, everything has been taken from him at once. Family, safety, trust, childhood itself. There are moments in life when suffering arrives so suddenly, the heart cannot yet process what has happened. This was one of those moments. Above the well, the brothers begin preparing their lie, a slaughtered animal, blood spread across Yusuf's garment, a story rehearsed before returning home. Even now, they fear their father's grief, but not enough to stop. Because once people convince themselves their wrongdoing is necessary, they begin protecting the lie more fiercely than the truth. And so, as evening approaches, they leave Yusuf behind, alone beneath the earth. The desert night slowly returns, and above the well, the stars appear once more. The same stars Yusuf saw in his dream. Perhaps he looks upward now through the narrow opening above him. Perhaps he remembers the dream. Perhaps he wonders if it could possibly still mean anything. Because suffering has a way of making destiny feel impossible. How could greatness emerge from abandonment? How could purpose survive betrayal? How could dreams survive darkness? And yet, this is often where transformation begins, not in comfort, but in isolation, not in certainty, but in surrender. Hours pass, the night deepens, the cold becomes heavier. Then, something changes. Faint sounds echo in the distance, voices, camels, movement. A caravan approaches, travelers crossing the desert beneath moonlight. They stop near the well searching for water. One man lowers a bucket slowly into darkness, and suddenly, instead of water, he finds a child. Imagine the shock, the rope tightening, the bucket rising, torchlight illuminating Yusuf's exhausted face for the first time. The travelers stare in disbelief. A boy alone inside an abandoned well. In those days, people were traded like possessions, bought, sold, transported across kingdoms, and quickly, the caravan leaders realize this child may be valuable, not because they see his soul, not because they understand destiny, but because they see profit. And so, Yusuf is carried away toward Egypt, away from home, away from his father, away from everything familiar. The desert stretches endlessly behind him, and somewhere far away, Yaqub waits for a son who will not return. Night settles softly over the ancient world. The caravan moves slowly beneath the stars. watches his homeland disappear into shadow. There is a loneliness that comes when life changes suddenly, when the future vanishes overnight, when nothing familiar remains. Perhaps tonight, someone listening knows that feeling too. The feeling of being carried somewhere unexpected, unable to return to who you once were, and yet, hidden inside moments like these, there can still exist a future we cannot yet see. Even now, the dream is still alive, though buried beneath fear, distance, and sorrow. Because destiny has not abandoned Yusuf in the well. It has only begun leading him through it. Far above, the stars continue shining over the desert, silent, ancient, watching, and somewhere ahead, beyond the horizon, Egypt waits. The road to Egypt. The caravan moves slowly through the night. Camel hooves press softly into cold desert sand. Lanterns sway in rhythm with the wind. Somewhere in the darkness, men speak quietly around fading fires, and among them sits Yusuf, silent, still trying to understand how his life disappeared in a single day. The stars above the desert seem endless now, brighter than before, colder somehow. Perhaps Yusuf still searches those heavens for the dream he once saw. The 11 stars, the sun, the moon. How distant that dream must feel now, because dreams are difficult to hold on to when life becomes unrecognizable. And yet, some truths survive even when hidden beneath suffering. Days pass across the desert roads. The caravan continues southward toward Egypt. Imagine the ancient trade routes now. Long lines of travelers stretching across endless dunes. Merchants carrying spices from Arabia, silk from distant lands, ivory, gold, perfumes, stories. The ancient world was always moving, and Yusuf, a prophet of God, travels among it unnoticed. No king recognizes him, no soldier salutes him, no crowd parts for him. To the world, he is only another forgotten boy being transported toward a foreign land. But history often hides its greatest people in ordinary moments. The heat grows stronger each day. The air shimmers above the sand. Water becomes precious. Even breathing feels heavy beneath the burning sun. At night, the temperature falls sharply. The wind howls across the empty wilderness. And somewhere during those long, silent nights, Yusuf begins changing. Suffering matures the soul in ways comfort never can. A child who once slept safely beneath his father's roof now learns silence, patience, endurance. And though loneliness surrounds him, he is never truly abandoned. Far away in Canaan, Yaqub dreams. Imagine the old prophet now sitting alone beneath the stars. The blood-stained garment lies before him. The story his sons told still hangs painfully in the air. A wolf devoured him. But Yaqub knows, a father knows, the grief is real, the loss unbearable. But something about the story feels wrong. Still, there is no proof, only sorrow. And so, the old prophet turns toward patience. Not because patience removes pain, but because faith teaches the wounded heart how to survive it. Meanwhile, Egypt rises slowly from the horizon. At first, only distant green along the edge of the desert, then palm trees, then water, then life. After endless sand, the Nile feels almost unreal. The river glitters beneath sunlight like flowing silver. Massive stone structures tower above crowded streets. Boats drift along canals lined with markets and temples. Egypt is unlike anything Yusuf has ever seen. Power lives here. Wealth, knowledge, politics, mystery. And somewhere within this vast kingdom, his destiny waits quietly. The caravan enters the city. Noise surrounds him immediately. Voices shouting in marketplaces. Animals moving through crowded roads. Bronze bells ringing from distant temples. smell of incense, smoke, river water, and spices thicken the air. For the first time, Yusuf understands fully. He is no longer home. Everything familiar is gone. Sometimes life changes so completely, the old version of ourselves cannot follow, and standing inside Egypt among strangers, Yusuf crosses that invisible boundary. The boy who left Canaan will never fully return. Soon, the traders bring him to the slave market. The ancient world could be merciless. Human beings bought and sold beneath open skies. Lives measured in silver. Destinies exchanged like merchandise. Imagine Yusuf standing there quietly among others. Some frightened, some exhausted, some hopeless. People pass by examining faces as though inspecting objects. But then, someone important notices him. A powerful official of Egypt. A man connected to the royal court. He studies Yusuf carefully, noticing intelligence, calmness, something unusual beneath the exhaustion. And finally, he purchases him. The official returns home with Yusuf. The house is enormous. Stone pillars rise toward painted ceilings. Servants move silently through long corridors. Water flows gently through inner courtyards filled with palms and flowers. For the first time since the well, Yusuf enters safety again. But safety does not erase memory. At night, perhaps he still remembers the darkness beneath the earth, the sound of his brothers walking away, his father's face. Some wounds remain long after escape. The official speaks kindly to his household. Treat him well. Something about Yusuf inspires trust, even now, even as a stranger, even as a servant far from home. Character has a strange power. It reveals itself quietly before words ever can. And Yusuf carries within him a dignity untouched by circumstance, because true nobility does not come from status. It comes from the soul. Outside, Egypt continues moving beneath blazing skies and moonlit nights. Priests study the heavens. Scribes record royal decrees. Politicians maneuver for influence inside palace walls. And somewhere among them, a hidden story slowly unfolds. The boy from the well has entered the kingdom of kings, not by triumph, but through suffering, not through power, but through patience. And the dream still waits, quietly, faithfully, like the stars above the desert that never stopped watching him. Tonight, the Nile moves softly beneath moonlight. Torches flicker along palace walls. Warm wind drifts through open courtyard. And Yusuf, far from home, rests beneath unfamiliar skies, while destiny continues approaching one silent step at a time. Close your eyes now. Listen to the distant river. The story is only beginning to deepen. The palace of Egypt night settles gently over Egypt. The Nile reflects the moon like flowing silver. Palm trees sway softly in the warm darkness. And somewhere beyond the towering walls of the royal city, music echoes faintly through candlelit halls. Yusuf lies awake, far from Canaan, far from his father, far from the life he once knew. But sleep does not come easily tonight, because grief travels with us, even across deserts. Imagine the palace now. Massive stone corridors cooled by flowing water. Oil lamps flickering against painted walls. Servants moving silently through shadowed passageways. Perfumed air drifting through open courtyards beneath the stars. Egypt feels alive even at night. Power never truly sleeps here. And within this world of wealth and politics, Yusuf grows quietly into manhood. Years begin to pass, slowly at first, then all at once. The frightened boy from the well becomes calm, strong, thoughtful. his character deepens through patience, and everyone around him notices, because some people carry peace within them even after suffering. Yusuf speaks gently, works honestly, never complains, never becomes bitter. Pain could have hardened him. Instead, it refined him. The household begins trusting him more each year. Responsibilities increase. Doors once closed to servants now open for him. Even powerful men begin relying on his judgment. And still, he remains humble. This is one of the quiet miracles of Yusuf's story. That betrayal did not poison his heart. That loneliness did not destroy his compassion. That injustice did not make him cruel. Many people suffer, but not everyone survives suffering with their soul intact. Yusuf does. Outside the palace, Egypt continues shining beneath the ancient sun. Markets overflow with color and noise. Priests study sacred symbols beneath temple shadows. Royal officials whisper through marble chambers about alliances and power. And somewhere inside this vast kingdom, destiny waits patiently, still unseen, still approaching. There is a strange loneliness that comes with living between worlds. Yusuf belongs neither fully to Egypt, nor any longer to the life left behind. Sometimes exile changes a person permanently. You begin speaking differently, thinking differently, remembering differently. Even memory itself starts feeling distant. Perhaps tonight, someone listening understands that feeling. The feeling of becoming a stranger to your former life. And yet, there can still be purpose inside displacement. Because some journeys require us to leave behind who we were before discovering who we are becoming. One evening, the palace grows unusually quiet. The air feels heavy, still. Torches flicker softly along the corridors. And somewhere inside the household, a trial begins approaching Yusuf, unlike any he has faced before. Not a trial of chains, not a trial of hunger, but something more dangerous: temptation. The wife of the Egyptian official has watched Yusuf change over the years, watched the frightened boy become a man of remarkable presence and beauty. In ancient traditions, Yusuf's beauty became legendary. Not merely physical beauty, but dignity, stillness, light within character itself. And now, desire begins blinding wisdom. One afternoon, the palace doors close, the corridors empty, and Yusuf suddenly realizes they are alone. Imagine the silence now, the distant sound of water flowing through palace channels, curtains moving softly in warm air, gold light spilling across polished stone floors. Then, the invitation comes, direct, dangerous, impossible to misunderstand, and suddenly, everything stops, because this moment will define him, not publicly, not before crowds, not before kings, but privately, alone, where no one else can see. The greatest tests often arrive this way, not through public battles, but through silent decisions hidden inside ordinary rooms. Yusuf turns away immediately, not arrogantly, not cruelly, but firmly, because integrity means remaining faithful to what is right, even when temptation stands directly before you, even when escape seems impossible, even when nobody else would know. But temptation rejected can quickly become anger. The atmosphere changes instantly. Emotion turns volatile, desperate. Yusuf moves toward the door, and suddenly, chaos erupts. Footsteps, voices, fabric tearing. Then, the door opens. The Egyptian official stands there, and for one suspended moment, silence fills the room. Accusations come quickly, confusion, fear, manipulation. Because people protecting themselves often reshape truth to survive consequences. But evidence begins revealing what really happened. And slowly, The official understands. Yusuf is innocent. Yet even innocence cannot fully protect him now, because scandal inside powerful households becomes dangerous. Politics, reputation, whispers. Egyptian society thrives on appearances, and appearances must be controlled. The rumors spread quietly through the city. Noblewomen whisper behind decorated fans. Servants exchange stories through corridors. Palace intrigue grows thicker each day. And Yusuf, though innocent, finds himself trapped again by circumstances beyond his control. How strange life can feel sometimes. To suffer for doing wrong is one thing, but to suffer while innocent, that is a deeper loneliness altogether. The stars rise again above Egypt, silent witnesses over palace roofs and riverbanks, and somewhere beneath those ancient heavens, Yusuf stands at another crossroads. The well did not destroy him, but another darkness now approaches. A prison waits quietly beyond the palace walls, and destiny still moves forward. Even here, especially here. Tanti. Tonight, the Nile flows gently through the sleeping city. Torchlight dances across stone pillars. Warm wind carries distant music through the dark. And Yusuf, the boy once abandoned beneath the earth, stands unknowingly at the threshold of yet another trial. Because sometimes, before dreams are fulfilled, they must first survive every attempt to bury